Welcome to the Port City Plate Podcast, presented by the Envil Bites Food Tour. The Port City Plate Podcast, serving up the food, history, and people of Mobile, Alabama, for people who love the Port City. I'm your host, Chris Andrews, and this is going to be a fun episode today. I'm excited about this one. We're talking Mardi Gras Mobile on today's show, and I'm excited. I got Stephen Toomey in the studio with me today, sitting in, and I know most Mobilians anyway are familiar with Toomey's Mardi Gras store over on Government Street. It's an institution in Mobile, going back to the 1970s. And they've been supplying beads and trinkets and moon pies and all sorts of party supplies associated with the Carnival season here in Mobile. So I'm really excited to dig into this one. So, Mr. Stephen, thank you for joining me on the Port City Plate Podcast.
It's my honor. Thank you.
So tell me about the business. I read on the website, that Toomey's been around since the 1970s. Now, I know you're not that old of a man.
No, well, I'm older than you think. I'm almost to retirement age, but I guess I'll have to wait. But, Mom and Dad started out of our house. I'm one of 7 children and, kind of middle class, whatever. And Daddy traveled the Southeast, so he used to buy throws for himself, and then he started buying for his cousins and brothers, and then one thing led to another, and strangers started showing up at our house out of our garage. So Mama said, enough, we got to get a facility. So we first rented, I guess, at the corner of Bittensburg and O'Shell. Over in that area, there's a small warehouse, and that's how it kind of got started.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So people were showing up at your house.
Right.
How old were you at that time?
I was probably a junior and senior in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember those days.
Yeah. What inspired your dad to start collecting all that? I think
just he rode in an organization for as long as I can remember on the emblem float, and I think his father was very involved with Carnival and Mobile, and so I think it's just in our blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how did you acquire the business eventually?
Well, I watched it. I helped them, back when I was in high school, and then I went away for college, but I kept an eye on things, and as they got older, I was living up in Asheville, North Carolina, working for the chamber up there, the Tourism Development Council. And back in '95, I decided to come back home to help them with the business. And I started importing directly from China. So my first trip over there was back in '95. So it's close to 30 years that I've been going over there.
Okay, that's interesting. And I want to get into that for sure. But I'm curious about, so you mentioned that you had a location there at Bittensburg.
Right.
And now you're at a huge facility on Government Street.
My parents used to jump around quite a bit. They would open and close just for Carnival season.
Okay.
But when I came back home in '95, I was like, well, wait a minute, I got to have something to do year round.
Yep.
So we ended up over on Bel Air Boulevard across from the Target, where the Target is now, at the old Goldboro building. And, that's when we first developed a website back in '99. So that spun us into kind of more of a year-round business, I guess you could say.
Yeah, definitely on the front end of things when it came to that.
Right. So that's been a good journey. I'm glad we got started early on with it. I remember in the first year that we were ranked so highly in keywords, like for Mardi Gras beads, we were like number 1. And 2 weeks before Mardi Gras, I had to shut it down because I was trying to fill the orders, get them shipped out, and I just couldn't do it all. I didn't know what to expect. And it always freaked my father out because he goes, "Why are they ordering these beads in Des Moines, Iowa?" And I was like, "Dad, I don't know. I didn't talk to him. It's all paper. Yeah, let's just send the merchandise out." He got a kick out of that.
I'm real curious about, I just have to imagine that your business is very, very relationship based, especially when it comes to your customers and especially the Mardi Gras organizations.
It is. I mean, we've been very blessed to have some very loyal customers, and we also have very loyal employees. I mean, we've got employees that have worked with us since day one, going on close to 48 years.
Man, yeah, that definitely says a lot.
And it really makes a huge difference. And I remember one time I was talking to one customer, and he goes, "Well, this is not personal, it's business." And I said, "Well, we're a family-owned business. Everything's personal."
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people try to separate, their personal feelings versus business, and I think it's all one and the same.
Right.
We treat people as fairly as we possibly can, and I know we might let somebody down every blue moon, but we try not to let them down.
Right. So you mentioned earlier about you go to China, and so I'm real
Yeah.
curious about that. So tell me about your trips to China. What goes on over there? What are some of the relationships like over there?
You know, we started out in Hong Kong, and they're mainly traders there. They're not really factories. Some of the people might own a factory in China, but for the most part, they were just, kind of the middlemen. But we were real blessed. The first year we went over there, I was nervous. I took my mom, I was in my early 40s, I guess, back then. And Forbes magazine was doing a special on retirement age, how people nowadays have to, they can't retire at 65. You need to keep generating income. So we were featured in Forbes about a year later, but they were with us over there, and they took pictures while we were visiting, the different showrooms in Hong Kong. So it kind of separated us because the Chinese are all about face and, who you are and how big's your house, but it kind of impressed them, I think, and helped solidify our relationship with them. Even though we were new to importing, I think they wanted to work with us. So
what do the warehouses look like over there?
Well, now I don't spend much time in Hong Kong. I go into mainland China, and I go to the factories, and it's, typical injection molded, machinery and so forth. And, there's not a lot of people that specialize in Mardi Gras, but we've got about 3 different suppliers that we buy from, and we've been buying from for, as long as I've been going over there, basically.
What are some of the things that you get over there?
Oh my gosh, of course the beads come from over there. All of our custom work for the most part comes from over there. The stuffed animals, the trinkets, the light up stuff, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah. And all the decorations too.
Okay.
All that tinsel garland and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess that helps you now, does it come over on
containers? We bring them into the port of Mobile because I felt like it was our responsibility to use the port here, and we use local trucking companies, intermodal companies to get it to our warehouse on government and get it unloaded. And we're averaging probably 2 to 3 containers a week right now that we're unloading, so we're busy.
Man, so they're bringing this stuff year round.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's not just,
we got a container in the week after Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And we almost sold out 100% this past year. The past 2 seasons, we just about sold out. So it's been, when am I going to hit that point of diminishing returns? I don't know. It's economics 101, and I can't figure it out. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What about the beads? So I know there's a lot of custom beads that have, say, Joe Kane, or it has maybe a leprechaun on it or something like that.
We've done.
Do you order that and they make them in China?
A lot of people will bring their artwork to us, or we can also help people with their artwork. They give us their concept, and we have artisans graphic designers that can help with that. We also do a lot of corporate branding, like Buc-ee's is one of our newest customers.
Okay.
They've been ordering beads from us now for about 3 years, I guess, and they do like their beaver hanging up from a necklace, with a Mardi Gras hat on, and they sell out every season, so I'm real happy about that.
Yeah.
It's a reoccurring, and we used to work a lot with Southern Comfort, and we've done different liquor brands, Fireball, so we do more than what people realize, I think, as far as the corporate, and of course all the crews that across the Southeast will deal with and do custom beads for them as well.
What's the selection process like? I mean, you kind of hit on that a minute ago, but how do you determine what is going to be popular if you're getting this stuff year round?
It's really just a gut feeling a lot of times, because on a lot of our products, the bread and butter items, we call them, I kind of have a good history on those items and work off Excel spreadsheets, so I kind of figure out the trends for those particular items. But then there's always new stuff, like when I get to go to China, I find the new item, the latest and greatest, and you just have to use your gut instinct. You know what I mean? Sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't, but fortunately I get it right more than I get it wrong.
Right.
So we're still in business.
What about moon pies? I mean, that's our signature throw here in
It is,
Mobile, right?
Yes. I mean, we used to get moon pies made up at Mondo Baking Company up in Rome, Georgia. Then General Mills bought that plant out, so they stopped making the moon pies. So Mom and Dad and I went and met with the Campbell family. Gosh, was back in the early 2000s, I guess, and we switched over to Moon Pie. And they were real excited about it, and they, they're a big business now. We're still a small business.
Right.
So I think the relationship, they sell to everybody, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a interesting relationship at best.
Now, is that the Chattanooga Bakery?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Chattanooga Bakery
Okay,
up in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay.
And because there's only one Moon Pie. That's the brand.
That's the
you know what I mean?
The only one.
Yeah, that's the only one. They got some knockoffs that come in from overseas or something, but we don't carry that product.
Right, yeah.
We don't want to confuse our customers.
So what's your relationship like now with the Chattanooga Bakery?
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, they work with us as best they can, because it's very difficult for us to know what's, we've got some history, of course, on the numbers that we sell, but if they fled the market with them, then we get, if they're selling the grocery stores and, the smaller outfits around town, then it's tricky.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to be out, but I don't, I know this year I ended up donating a bunch of pallets to Feeding the Gulf Coast, and they were happy.
Right.
And, it's a good, thing for us to do rather than just let them expire,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
How many would you say you go through a year? How many Moon Pies would you say?
I don't know. Maybe 10 tractor trailer loads.
Yeah.
That's the 54-foot tractor trailers, and we get, 24 pallets on there and upwards of 70-something per pallet. So I can't do math that well. I had Catholic education, sorry.
Well, easily 1 million, though, I guess, right?
Probably so, yeah.
What's the most popular flavor, do you think, right now? How much?
Chocolate's always the number one.
That's the number one seller.
Vanilla, strawberries, fairly popular. My personal favorite is the mint. They had the mint and a peanut butter, and I love peanut butter, but then they stopped making the peanut butter on us because I think of the food allergies, there's too much work at the plant. And so,
Man, I missed out on the peanut butter.
I know, they were good. So then they stopped making the mint, then they just brought those back a few years back. So that's pretty good flavor, I think.
Now, I've always heard that the bakery uses Mobile as like a test market, and so they'll bring down new flavors. I've heard some rumbles about that. What do you know about that?
I don't know. I mean, if they are, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
I know they wanted us to open up one of their little stores for them, but we run the Carnival Museum gift shop here in Mobile,
right.
So I didn't need 2 stores downtown.
Yeah.
So we bowed out of that one. They were here for a while, then I think they left.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how do you cater to organizations that I'm sure they're buying in huge bulk, right?
Yeah,
orders.
We start working right after Mardi Gras is over, usually in April, like the new regime comes in for a lot of art organizations here in Mobile and elsewhere. And we start working right away. I mean, we're already bringing product in for some large crews, here in Mobile and Baldwin County and Louisiana. We're kind of stretched out pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just local area. You are doing.
Oh my gosh.
Supplying for a lot of
our biggest customers in Tampa, and
really,
we're about to work out a deal where we'll have a presence in Tampa.
Okay.
We're going to join forces with those folks down there. I'm actually going to buy their company from them.
Okay.
So we'll have a Toomey's too in Tampa, Florida.
Now, what's going on down there in Tampa?
They have Gasparilla, which is a big pirate invasion, and it is huge. I mean, they have millions of people show up. So it's and they'll do parades throughout the year, similar to what like the Maoki Indians do over in Pensacola or Billy Bowlegs over in Fort Walton. We work with all those groups, and they do different, like Billy Bowlegs is in June when their parade is.
Right.
And we've been over for that, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just that, more of a pirate feel to it, and it's just, kind of crazy, but it's similar to Mardi Gras, but yet it's not. I mean, they have floats, they're throwing beads, but it's not, it's not purple, green, and gold every year.
How long are the celebrations there? Is it a day or is it
It's usually over a weekend. They'll have different parties and an invasion.
Kind of like the Billy Bowlegs.
Yeah, Billy Bowlegs. Yeah. But down in Gasparilla now, they'll do children's parades, they'll do night parades, they do day parades. It's a huge celebration.
Okay.
I'd encourage you to check.
That's
it out
interesting.
online.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to check into that.
Yeah.
How involved are you outside of in Mardi Gras, outside of the business?
You mean if I'm a member of
a
mystic society?
Yes.
I'm not allowed to say, sir, because if I were a member, I wouldn't want to be a member of that society if they'd have me as a member. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, my family's been involved, especially on my dad's side. Heck, my grandfather helped form he was one of the founding members of the Crew of Columbus. And then in 1930, he got into another organization, and that's the one we're in.
Okay.
All my family, Daddy.
Yeah, we're not asking you. We're not going to disclose anything here.
No,
we're not going to do that.
No, we can't do that.
This is a Mobile podcast.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But I guess, and the reason I kind of ask you that is I know for myself when Mardi Gras is extremely busy for our tours, I almost don't even want to even go down to some of the parades, because of how it just kind of consumes you.
You know, I work 12 to 14-hour days after January 1st, so I'm really worn out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell people it's like running a marathon, by that Monday night and that Tuesday, I've like hit the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's really hard to participate in much. I'll go to the King's Supper if I'm lucky, or, the coronation and things like that. Because really by Saturday, it's kind of, we've got everything in place for the deliveries, for all the floats, for the juvenile courts and the big courts and the different crews that we do like float loading for. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is the most popular item that you sell?
Oh gosh, probably our cheapest beads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
People are fairly
go through more of those than anything.
Yeah. We'll do tens of thousands of cases of certain items.
You've got so much inventory, and you've got all this going out, and the logistics of it, like you mentioned, year round, but I just can't imagine what it's like during the carnival season.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of it?
I don't know. I think we've been doing it for so long. It kind of everybody plays a big role in making it happen. I've got some super smart employees, and they just make it happen, whether it be with trucking companies or if we're shipping full truckloads to different people throughout the region, or Texas or Louisiana or wherever, Florida, wherever it might be. And so I think it just kind of everybody pulls together and works their tail off, to make it happen. Yeah, basically.
And I don't. A lot of people may not know, but your store's open year round.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're open year round. We get a fair amount of traffic during the summertime. This year we started closing. Well, last summer we started closing in August, with back to school and the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
And to give our employees a little break. It's hard to get people to work on a Saturday when they know what's coming, where we're going 7 days a week. So I give everybody a little extra time off.
Yeah.
We do. So, but really it's our employees that make it all happen.
Right. I know I've been in, this is the best time to come into your store, I think, because of, like I said,
it might be for you. It's not for me. Yeah. Not for me, but maybe you. Yeah.
I would encourage people to go in right now. Is a great time because, you've got the store to yourself. I came in the other day.
Right.
And I was buying some things for a tour group that I was doing that were out of towners.
Right.
And so this is a great time, like I said, to come
in. Oh,
yeah.
And we have people that come in from out of town, that are passing through or whatever. They live in St. Louis and they do Carnival up there, so they'll load up. Or from Florida, wherever, Mississippi, Texas. But we also do a lot of layaways this time of year where people can come in, pick out some of their throws, and we'll have a layaway program for those people.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if you go in, I think it's also you have to notice the decor of the store as well, and you've done a great job with that. Talk a little bit about that.
Team effort. Back when we moved in 2002 into that building, Chris Teague, a local smart dude, and Mark Calmetti kind of helped me lay it out. Mark used to work for Lamar. Now he's a graphic artist.
Okay.
So he is real involved with Mardi Gras. He does a lot of float designs for different crews and so forth. So he knows it backwards and forwards, and they kind of help lay it out. Like one wall has the Civic Center, that mosaic, on one wall that's at the Civic Center of the circus-looking style, So we tried to capture Mobile as best we could, within the walls of the store, because we didn't want to be a big box store, like another Target or something,
right?
Because I think it's important to tell the history,
It is. It's a history lesson just going in your store, looking at the walls. You can, the Cowbell Indian Raking Society.
Right. And we got
Joe
float
Kane.
pieces, you know, from Steve Mussel, on loan, and it,
my kids like those. They like
it
they like the float pieces.
And kids come in and they, big and small kids, they all like it. So hopefully we got the right thing going.
Right.
Yeah.
The recent activity with the Mobile Porch Parade, how has that affected your business? Andy?
Well, our decoration sales have always been fairly strong, but I guess since the Porch Parade, I think, Mardi Gras is in Mobilian's DNA. That's just the way it is. Daddy always said it was either fishing, hunting, or Mardi Gras. You can't take that away. No matter what the economy's doing, it doesn't matter. They're still going to find a way to make it happen. So when the parade started canceling during COVID, people took on this, let's decorate still. So we got a ton of business from that. And of course that spills over to this past year and the year before that. So now we really, carry more decorations than we ever have before. And we're selling more than ever before.
I know I see more flags, the Mardi Gras flags. I see more of those on houses now than ever.
Custom flags made overseas, not only for the cruise, but also for our brand.
Right.
So, it's fun.
I wanted to ask you too about maybe some trends that you've seen. So you've been doing this a long time, and your store's been around a long time.
Yeah.
What would you say the biggest thing has changed since maybe those early days?
In the early days, I remember the peanut butter kisses. The yellow wrappers, and they were so good. And I think that's why I got bad teeth now. But it was a lot of food items. When my parents first incorporated, they called us Toomey's Mardi Gras Candy Company Incorporated. Well, that really is not who we are, because we were getting phone calls with our website, well, what kind of candy do y'all sell? Well, it's more, just street candy, for parades. We're not like a specialty chocolate shop or something. But, then, of course, the edibles came along, with the different pies, the moon pie now, and different things, we carry rice from the plant here in Mobile. We'll carry, Little Debbie's, snack cakes, and we'll find some obscure stuff, that's on sale, or, we get a good price from a wholesaler, and we'll just test the market with different things like that. But, food is a big part of Mardi Gras, I think. I think New Orleans is going to allow them this past year to throw food items. Because we had a store over there. My first store was still living in Nashville, and opened up a store out in Metairie, and they didn't want moon pies over there. They're like, no, I wouldn't let my kid eat anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? I grew up eating the street food, at Carnival. But anyway, it's starting to catch on over there too. But I think there was a lot of reluctance from the my competitors over there, because they're used to just selling beads, and they didn't want to see the food items just having another item to carry.
So where the food items are outlawed, would that have included moon pies?
I don't know if they were outlawed. They just weren't very well received, I guess you could say. I'll never forget the first year I sold a Rex over there, ran down on Mardi Gras Day, and I looked on Canal Street, and there was all these moon pies on the ground. I was like, I almost started crying. So the next year I ran down there, and the moon pie wrappers were empty. I said, oh God, they finally got it. It's taken hundreds of years to get them to, eat street food from a Mardi Gras parade.
That's great.
Yeah.
What do you think? So if I told you Mardi Gras wouldn't be Mardi Gras without, what would be your answer?
Probably the artistic people of Mobile, between the bands and the float directors, builders and all that really, in the Carnival associations, that really put Carnival on, I guess you could say, and they help organize everything from the police department to the different, just think of all the stuff that goes on at Carnival to make it work, But I do think, 1703, that's a pretty long time to be doing something. So I think that helps that we have such a history behind it that, maybe one day we'll get it right, but I think we keep improving every year.
Yeah. I guess the majority of people probably, they just show up, right? And most people probably don't take the time to think about all the things that go into making Mardi Gras what it
No,
is. The
I
year,
mean,
just your business alone, the year-round operation that it takes and the
Right,
logistics that goes
right,
into it.
right,
But
right.
like I said, much less the artist. And,
Yeah, I mean,
and the
I
police
got
department and
people that look at me and say, "What do you do during the off season?"
Yeah.
Oh, I don't do anything.
right.
You know, I goof off.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Go fishing.
watch TV all day long. I don't know. Whatever you want to think.
Last question for you is if somebody's new to Mardi Gras, maybe
Right.
they're listening and they're from out of town,
Right.
new to Mardi Gras celebration, they come to your store and they walk
Right.
in. What do you think they must have? What is a must-have item for them?
Well, we carry a lot of Mobile branded items, so we encourage them to, take that piece of history back with them, whether it be a necklace or cups or whatever it might be. And really, the moon pies, they always got to get a small box of those.
Yeah.
We'll have bus tours this time of year come in and, they'll load up with, $15 or $20 worth of stuff, each person. And I'm happy to have that, But really, it's just the overall experience. We encourage them to go to the Carnival Museum downtown to really see it. A lot of people haven't been there yet, I don't even think a lot of Mobilians have been there, because it really is a history lesson on Carnival. We try to do it, but we don't do it as well as they do it because that's a museum.
Right.
That's what they focus on, and Cart and Judy do a great job down there.
Yeah, we had Card on the episode a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did
we
you?
talked,
Oh,
we talked a lot
nice.
about food.
Yeah,
We got into some of
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
It is. That is one of the best museums.
Oh my gosh, it's like
anywhere
royalty.
you could go.
Yeah, it's like royalty. You know what I mean? It's like going to Europe without going to Europe.
Yeah.
We're right here in Mobile.
Right.
So that's what's so cool about it.
And I think too, it's a great place for kids, and you get to let your kids hop on that float,
Right,
and,
and have fun, and then they get to see all the trains and the different crowns. And
the Strikers
sectors.
goat upstairs, the wooden
upstairs, goat. And who is that crazy group that has that one room that always gets in trouble?
Yeah, the Comic Cowboys.
The Comic Cowboys. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Pretty funny stuff.
Well, so you mentioned the Carnival Museum. So you run do y'all supply the gift shop there? Is that correct?
Yeah. The Carnival Association, back when we opened in 2005 down there, they asked us to run the gift shop, and I was like, I don't know, I'm used to dealing in bulk, but we did it, and this is our fiduciary responsibility, so we've got a good relationship with all those guys.
Right, yeah. All right, so you got to go into the Carnival Museum, check it out, and buy some gifts from there too. Yeah.
Right.
And I think it will impress people too. It's not just your normal museum gift shop. It's a very impressive gift shop.
Yeah, we try to carry a little higher end merchandise, and of course,
shirts and
the shirts and shot glasses, things that are popular when you're on tour somewhere. You got to take a little piece back with you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we try to carry.
Well, our next segment of the show is called Meat and Three. So we've gotten into the meat of the podcast. Now I've got 3 questions that I want to ask you. 3 burning questions about you.
Gosh.
So I want to ask you, my first one is, where do you go for a nice meal, say on a Friday night? What's some of your favorite restaurants in Mobile?
Well, there's so many to choose from. I think I was general manager at Ruth Chris Steakhouse back when I was 24 years old.
Okay.
So that's my go-to. If it's going to be my last meal, I'd probably go there.
Right.
Because you can't go wrong with prime beef. I like Osmond's a lot. They're one of my go-to restaurants. There's just a number of them. Down on Royal Street here.
The Royal Scam.
Royal Scam.
Yeah.
It's as good as it gets too.
I agree with you.
There's it's just a lot.
That's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah. Then for lunch, Callahan's, Squid Ink, has great food there. I think I was at Red and White just Saturday night and had their brisket, and it was awesome.
Yeah, Red and White's a great spot.
Yeah. It was busy, so I don't like going out on the weekends when it's busy.
Yeah.
The older I get, the less patience I have, I think. But it was very nice. There's different places, but one place that's really impressed me a lot recently because of my trips to going to Asia for close to 30 years or whatever. There's a place out in West Mobile off Airport called Vandal's Street Kitchen.
Yep.
I don't know if have you been there
I haven't
yet?
been there. No, I haven't been there
Oh my gosh,
yet.
the food's awesome. It looks like you're in a big city because all the art is like, what do you call it? Graffiti
right.
on the inside. And It's got an Asian flair to it, you know, but the food is really, really good.
That's what I've heard. I got to get out there.
Yeah, you got to
Vandals.
get out there. Yeah, Vandals. Right,
Now your store's out there, Government Street in McRae.
Right.
So
right.
you know, kind of in West Mobile, kind of in between the Loop
Yeah,
and Costco
it's kinda,
area.
yeah,
What
yeah.
What are some of your restaurants that you go to? Maybe you know you go on a lunch break out there
Yeah,
at the store.
Royal
Where's some place you
Night,
go?
or you know, Royal Night just down the street, or go down to Judy's place. You know.
Yeah, you can't beat Judy's place.
No, and I like that little Italian restaurant that opened up.
T. Marie right there at the Loop.
Yeah, right there at the Loop. That you know, Regina's used to be there, and I used to love to go in there. That was my favorite place. But now she's in Brookley Fields, so I know she's doing well over there.
It is doing well. I've been in there, and you've got to beat the Airbus crowd.
Right, that's what I was
you've got to go about 11
She
o'clock.
knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
There's moving over there. You know.
It's one of those places you'll drive by it if you're not looking for it,
right,
and miss it, but you just about can't miss the line out the door, the line of people that you'll see.
Right.
But Regina's is a great place.
Yeah, she does a great job.
Yeah, there's
she was
good
born.
places
I mean,
out
she
there.
grew up in that business because her parents used to have places over in Fairhope and Mobile. So you know, it's kind of funny how when it's passed down generation to generation, you know, hopefully the next generation does a good job with it, you know, and keeps the tradition going.
Because I know we talk a lot of downtown, and there's so many restaurants downtown, but it is good to talk about, you know, like I said, kind of your area where you got Royal Night, and you got Osmond's and Judy's Place, and so many great places right there at the Loop too. So
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I guess you could probably eat at a different restaurant once a month and not eat at all of them, you know, even downtown alone, you know. But
exactly, that's what you know. I don't judge anybody who says they haven't been downtown and eaten at all the restaurants because there's no way you can.
You can't. I wouldn't think you can. No.
Unless
the culinary experience is really, I mean, in the last 5 years, I think it's like tenfold of what it used to be, you know, what it used to be.
My third question was going to be your final meal in Mobile. You mentioned Ruth's Chris, so I'm gonna pivot. And you mentioned some of your trips to Asia, and you also grew up in Asheville, or spent some time there in Asheville as well.
Yeah.
So maybe what's some memorable food experience that you've had in some of your travels?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure Asheville has definitely changed a lot since you were there.
Yeah, I left there in '94, '95 to move back home.
And I guess when did they have their resurgence? Maybe
it was coming on strong back then.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it was really started the boom. You know, now I got a cabin. My parents built one about 25 miles outside Asheville. That's what really brought me up from Naples, Florida, to go back up there because I was in the resort business forever, or you know, out of college. And then, but Asheville had some great culinary artists up there. You know, I mean, the food is always spectacular in Asheville. Headed back up there this weekend, as a matter of fact, to get out of this heat. But you know, the food's really good up there. I think Asia, you know, I tell people I just feel so much better when I'm there because it's all fresh, you know. You know, everything's from scratch. You know, even the smallest restaurants, the food's really incredible. Yeah. You just got to be careful over there because sometimes they might put a little more wasabi than I'm used to in the soy sauce. Then I dip something in there and I have a head explosion or something. But it's, you know, I enjoy it a lot.
How do you manage the language barrier over there?
Well, I've been dealing with the same folks for 30 years and they travel with me, you know, I mean, from the airport on, you know. I could get around a little bit over there, you know, it's planes, trains, and automobiles, I guess, you know, over there. A lot of trains now, not so much the airlines anymore because they have those trains that go 200 and something miles an hour, you know, and I enjoy a train ride because you can see the countryside, you know, then you get into those big cities like Shanghai or somewhere and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I've stepped into a different, you know, universe or something.
My last segment of the show is called Chris's Dishes, and this is where I talk about the best dish that I've had over the last week or so. Right. And so then I'll turn it over to you if you've got a dish that you've had lately that you want to mention as well. But my dish comes from Squid Ink. We talked about, you know, you mentioned Squid Ink earlier. I went in Squid Ink a couple of weeks ago with Lee, who's a tour guide with us at Bienville Bites. Right. And we went happy hour, and they've got an incredible happy hour. So we loaded up on all the happy hour specials they were having that day. Right. So
Are you talking about drink or food?
Well, I'm talking about food.
Oh, okay.
We actually didn't drink.
Okay.
I think we got waters.
Yeah.
Because of how hot it is.
Right.
And so we had to stay hydrated. We were both about to give a tour.
Right.
And So we didn't go for the beverages that would dehydrate us.
Right.
But I had the Mobtown hot chicken, which is a great one. They had the bao buns. We got the chicken banh mi baos. We both shared one of those. We got two of those. The fried deviled eggs were really good. And then we got the Mobtown hot fries. And so those are fries. They've got some cheese on top. That was an incredible experience. Like we said, we loaded up on food, and got all of it for like $20. And so it was really affordable too. So they've got one of the best happy hour menus I think around town. And so I'll share some of those pictures from that on our Facebook page. Well, what's a good meal that you had?
Well, I mean, recently, I'm going to go back to that. Vandals. Yeah. They got the bao buns, but I had it with the Korean style fried chicken. On
like
the
Korean
buns.
barbecue or the Korean fried.
Like a Korean barbecue, and they put that spicy, chili sauce on it. And it was just awesome, and they got some really good pot stickers there. I like those dumplings, when they're fried. I'll eat them steamed as well, but they just do a really good job there, and the great tacos, and things like that. The brisket at Red and White, I was really impressed with that the other night. It's slow cooked and it's got onions on it. It was just, I didn't quite have enough onions because the brisket was so good. I wanted more onions to complement it. But anyway, that was a really good meal.
I got to venture out from the pizza over there. I know that's usually
they say that's good. We just, it had been a long day, and like, all right, we've had enough food. Let's go home. I was ready for bed. It was so hot. I got to bed early this time of year.
Yep. Well, that's great, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've enjoyed it. So tell everybody your address and, like I said, maybe your hours of business.
Yeah,
how they contact you.
Yeah, we're at 755 McCrae Avenue, which is right off of Government Street. We're about a mile from I-65. If you were headed back towards town, headed east on Government, you'll see us on the right there. It's about a 70,000 square foot building, so it's kind of hard to miss. I got a spaceship out front underneath our side. Don't ask me what it's doing there. We're open from 10 to 5 Monday through Friday. We've just started closing for the month of August for the dog days of summer, so we're not open on Saturday or Sunday right now, but soon enough, when things cool down a little bit, we'll start opening on Saturdays as well. Then once we get into the season, we're open 7 days a week.
Right. And you can supply Christmas parties as well too. Right?
Oh gosh, yeah. The Christmas parades is our second busiest time of year.
Yeah.
Because of all these, Grand Bay or Sims or Saraland or Baldwin County, different towns, they all have their own Christmas parades, and they allow them to throw merchandise, But here in Mobile, I don't get it. We founded Mardi Gras here, and that they, throws are banned at our Christmas parade. I'm like, really? Come on, government. What are y'all doing to us?
I know. We got to step that up.
Yeah, we got to step it up.
Because that's kind of almost the introduction a little bit.
Exactly.
Carnival, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, that might be a discussion for another time on that. But Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
For having me,
I've enjoyed it.
Good luck to you, and keep up the good work.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank y'all for listening, and you can always check out some other episodes that we mentioned on the show. Like the one with Cart and at the Mobile Carnival Museum, and I know last year we had Steve join on the show, kind of previewing Mardi Gras and kind of his magazine. I was just thinking about that a couple of weeks ago. I got to schedule Steve so he can come back and we can preview Mardi Gras 2024. It's definitely going to be here before you know it. But I appreciate y'all listening and check us out on the anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify. We're on all the platforms. Please share and we'll catch you on the next episode.